A good Erev Shabbos, everybody. In this week's parsha, we all are familiar with the story how Moshe and Aaron come before Paro. Aaron throws his staff down in front of Paro and Paro's magicians, Chatumim, and the staff turns into a tanin, if you will, a crocodile. The Chatumim do the same. And then we are told that the mateh of Aaron, and the Mefarshim point out that the Taninim turned back into staffs, and then the staff of Aaron comes and swallows up the staffs that all the Chartumim had cast forth. So the Midrashim tell us, some Rabbi Yossi Rab Chanina, that a tremendous miracle happened, that even as Aaron's staff swallowed up all the staffs of the others, no matter how numerous they may have been. Normally, we know from our own experience, as one, I can speak for myself, as one eats more and more food, it becomes noticeable when one looks at the person who ate so much. From the outside, you see that the girth, the width, has increased. And so one would have expected that as Aaron's staff swallows up all the other staffs, that its width and girth and its circumference would have increased. But nonetheless, the Medrash says, Lo na'ava yoter mimasha haya. It looked exactly the same from an external point of view as before it had swallowed the other staffs. The Medrashim go on to say that when Paro saw this, he became very scared. He said, you know what will happen if the staff of Aaron decides to swallow me and my throne? It will do so. What was Paro so afraid of here? Why does he jump to that conclusion so quickly? What is it that gripped Paro with so much fear? And the Ksav Sofer has a very interesting response that I think is quite relevant in our day and age. All of these staffs represent the Umot HaOlam, and the point that's being made by the Midrashim is that when Am Yisrael conquers them, all signs and vestiges of the former glory and the former sovereignty of these vanquished nations will disappear as if they had never been there. In other words, what Paro was afraid of was the question of his own legacy. It's bad enough that everyone has center stage for a while and then takes a secondary role. So Am Yisrael's sun will rise as Paro's sets at some point in history. But the idea that when Am Yisrael eventually, Latid Lavo, reigns over the world, that it will be as if Paro never existed, as if there was no Malchut Paro whatsoever, that is something that gripped him with fear. And we see this today with politicians, let's say, who at the end of their term of office suddenly are doing all kinds of things that al panav, we have to ask ourselves, hey, you were in office for such a long period of time, you've done what you've done, but what are they doing in the waning days of their rule in office? They're trying to shape what the historical record will show of their legacy. They want a legacy that people will remember, that will be recorded in the books of history. And so the truth of the matter is that at the end of the day, the legacy that will endure is that of Am Yisrael. And the truth is that you can't at the last minute try to shore up your legacy. One's legacy is built by a lifetime of doing the right things. Shabbat Shalom.